thewellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives. Download the app today.
This is Up for a Chat with your hosts, Cyndi O'Meara and Kim Morrison.
Here we are, up for a chat about the hottest topics that are important to you, inspiring you to awaken the change within. I'm Cyndi O'Meara.
And I'm Kim Morrison. This week we have a very special soul. Not only is she an extraordinary human in the realm of health, wellness, nutrition, naturopathy, and everything mind, body, and soul, but she's also one of our dearest friends. And it is an absolute delight to welcome to Up for a Chat our beautiful dear friend, the amazing Helen Padarin. Welcome, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure to be with you both.
Well, we're a bit excited because not only do we get to journey with you over this last, I guess, nearly 1.5 decades, we've watched you flourish, we've seen your knowledge, the power of how you teach, more importantly. And I love the way you express and support the everyday person to be a better version of themselves, but you're also incredible at training other practitioners to up-level their skills. Before we get into all of your amazing incredible work that you do, beautiful, would you mind just taking the listener on a little journey? Who are you? Where did you come from? And why on earth did you go down this pathway of health, well-being, and I'd even say spiritual work that has really opened up all of our hearts and minds?
It's always a great question. Where did we come from? Where did I come from? The stars is the conclusion I've come to. As with all of us, we're all stardust. Life has been a pretty incredible journey. So where to begin? I mean, professionally speaking, I am a naturopath, a nutritionist, a herbalist, somatic practitioner in training. I came about this work through my own personal journey, as many of us in the health world do. Early on in life, I had a little bit of a bumpy start in terms of almost being born 3 months premature, and the medications given to mum, while, life-saving at the time, certainly had their consequences as well. So when I was born, within months, I had asthma and eczema, severe allergies, couldn't touch a raw egg yolk, would come out covered in rashes head to toe. Throughout childhood and teens, a lot of respiratory tract infections, bronchitis every year. I had pneumonia in year 9, shingles in year 11, and quite significant depression as well through my teens and into my early 20s. I also had really heavy, painful periods during that time. I ended up being diagnosed with PCOS at around 21. And so I had, all these experiences where I wasn't really actually looking to be healthy or healthier, because that whole experience for me was normal. So I hadn't clocked yet that you could feel any different, basically. But over that time, I was always active. I always enjoyed outdoor adventure kind of activities. I was always off hiking, camping, all of those kinds of things. Swimming, I liked going to the gym from my teen years. So activity was an important part. And so from that perspective, I'm kind of guessing in retrospect, that kind of lit up a bit of interest in terms of food and nutrition and that kind of thing. And so I would aim to eat more so just to feel less crap rather than to feel good, because, again, I didn't know what was possible. Yeah. So it started with just avoiding things that I knew didn't work so well. And then at the same time in my teens, my sister had done an aromatherapy course. And so oils came into my life. And I really fell in love with them around, I must have been, 15 years old. And I would go through her books, and my niece was born when I was 15, and I would whenever she had a little niggle or something come up, I would look up what oils and get them and use them. And I'd notice how well she'd respond. I was like, oh, there's really something to this. And because I'd grown up in a very mainstream kind of medical approach family. And so that piqued my interest more. And I was always a bit of a greenie as well. So, and an inherent carer. So it brought those two worlds together of greenie and caring. And I used to make my own skincare, like oil blends and that kind of thing. And so, that was something I really loved. And as I saw the impact of it, particularly on my niece, that piqued my interest in natural medicine. And it was about in year 11 or 12 that I found out about naturopathy, never heard of it before, but I was like, that is what I want to do. So, as soon as I finished school, I went into studying for my Bachelor of Health Science degree, my naturopathic diplomas and nutrition diploma and botanical medicine, and haven't looked back since, really. And that journey has taken me on my own healing journey as well. Learning more and more about how we function as humans, both physically and metaphysically as well, looking at the psycho-emotional and spiritual aspects of our well-being. And as the years have gone by and my health has, continued to get better, I feel better now in my 40s than I did in my teens. I've really had any doubt stripped from my mind of the interplay between our physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual well-being. Like they can't be teased apart. And it's one reason why, I love doing that personal inner work so much myself, that for me, I love adventures as much as you two do, but I also love the inner adventure, as I know you two do as well. So that inner adventure is, a whole other landscape. And so rewarding. And now from a clinical perspective too, I just see those aspects play out so deeply as part of the root cause to almost all of our chronic health conditions. Yeah. So yes, there's big environmental influences and for some, obviously, there's genetic influences and things like that. But the vast majority, we've got a population, a culture of people really living with their survival mode switched on and pinging all the time. And that has this cascade effect through psychoneuroimmunology that then impacts all our neurotransmitters, all our hormones, all our cellular function. And this is where, as much as I love food as medicine, it really is fundamental. We can be eating the best diet and taking all the herbs and the supplements and doing all the biohacking and the red lights and the sunshine and the out in nature. We can do that until the cows come home. But if we're still in survival mode all the time, often without even realizing it, because that's our normal state of operation, then we can find we're chasing our tail. Like, I've made improvements, but I can't, why am I not feeling vital yet? Why am I not really feeling well? So that's my passion. And for me, that's really like root cause medicine, getting to that aspect, bringing that into account as much as everything else. Yeah. And here we are today.
It's like every human needs every single one of those things that you talked about. And it's like the fundamentals, really. And then we can get into the nitty-gritty, of what we need to do for that individual. But that's what I'm learning, is that there's the fundamentals. Get the fundamentals right first, and then let's get into those nitty-gritty. And I love how you bring everything in, the inner work too. Sometimes I only look at the anthropological principles and the vitalistic principles, and sometimes I forget that spiritual. So thank you very much for bringing that back to the foreground. It's brilliant. Now, you have a clinic and you have online programs. Do you want to just tell us about your clinic and online programs? And then I'd love you to discuss what your, what you have done with a group called MINDD. We'll get into that. But let's just talk about your clinic first and your programs, and then MINDD.
Yeah, okay. So I've been in clinical practice now for, what year is it? 24 years we're at now, which is weird to say, but great. Still love it to this day. For 21 of those years, I was in an integrative medical centre. And then the last 3 years since COVID, I moved location, and I also moved my clinic entirely online. So my clinic is called wellembodied.com.au. And I've got a collection of other practitioners in there as well. So a nutritionist, another naturopath, a trauma therapist, and a health coach. And so, and a doula as well. So providing both preparation work for birth, but also birth debriefs and postpartum doula services afterwards too. So, yeah, we've got quite a nicely well-rounded little crew, and the idea is that we can provide the support on all those levels that I was just speaking to give really well-rounded and embodied approach to health. It's not like not an intellectual game. It's got to be felt in the body. So, yes, that's the clinic side of things. And then for, about a decade almost now, I've been running online programs. The first two were, and still are running, 9v9 and the gallbladder flush. So 9v9 is just a really short 9-day challenge that is short enough that it's easy to commit to, long enough that you get to experience results from it, and experience being the key word again. So it's based on Terry Wall's principles of bringing in 9 cups of veggies a day, each day for the 9 days. And we focus on different specific groups of vegetables as well, some fruit too, but the focus is really veggies. Because what I've found over the years is that regardless of what people's eating philosophy is, one of the key things that's really missing is those beautiful phytonutrients and phenolic compounds that really support our gut microbiome and our sorry, there's noise going on. Our gut microbiome and our detoxification capacity, our mitochondrial function, and all of that kind of thing. So really fundamental, again, for health. And we really, in that program, even though it's 9 days, we get a long way in helping people to connect with the language of their own body, so that over time they can really become their own experts, because we've become so used to outsourcing all of our medical and healthcare these days, when so much of it we can actually do ourselves when we're actually listening to our bodies. So in both the 9v9 program and the gallbladder flush program, there's a huge emphasis on that. And we provide a lot of information too, because there's a lot of confusion these days about plant foods. You know, there's big debates between plants and carnivores and omnivores and vegans and all of this kind of thing. And I'm a big believer in, you know, the right food for the right person at the right time. And by doing these little experiments with yourself, you get to work out, how to experiment, how to read the results of your body, and then how to make choices from that going forward. And we demystify a lot of the misunderstandings around compounds in plant foods and what reactions to any of those compounds may mean as well. They're all giving us clues and signs, you know. It's the language of the body and it's really telling us what to do. So that's 9v9. And yeah, in a short 9 days, people will notice increased clarity of mind, better mood, less joint inflammation, better sleep, better poos. And, you know, who doesn't want a better poo? So many people have trouble pooping these days. So that's one that brings a big joy to a lot of people in the course. And then for those who want to take it deeper and are wanting to do some deeper detox, we go into the liver and gallbladder course from that. So that is a month's preparation, kicking off with 9v9, and we end up with a weekend flush. But during that time, we're really supporting liver function, bile production, gastrointestinal and digestive health, really stimulating digestive acid production as well. And the reason why I've brought this into play is because our liver is so key to so many, like literally hundreds of functions in the body. It often just gets thought of as, this detox organ, but it really is responsible for so much more. So we want to make sure it's able to function well and efficiently, and that it's not overburdened. And as you both know, we're not living in the environment our genes were created for, right? We've got this influx of environmental toxins, whether it's from our food, our air, our water, our cosmetics, our household cleaning products, whatever it might be. So our liver's just under this constant burden, really. And we see this come out in, bloating and indigestion and reflux and changeable bowel habits and skin issues, headaches, visual issues. Our eyes and our liver have a really strong relationship. We see a lot of anger and frustration. So we go into the anger and frustration side of liver and gallbladder function as well, because from a traditional Chinese medicine point of view, these organs are where those emotions are stored. So we go through how to actually connect with those emotions and to express them healthfully rather than keeping those issues in our tissues. Because anger in particular, we have such a fraught relationship with it in this culture, and it's either something that tends to come out in rages or it's very much suppressed and repressed. And there'll be a lot of us who are like, but I'm just not an angry person. And I know from my own experience of being one of those people who used to say that they're often the people who have the most anger. It's stored, right? And it needs to come out. And what I'm very passionate about teaching is that we need anger. Like, anger is actually life force energy. Without anger, we're going to feel tired, depressed, flat, and likely end up with things like autoimmune conditions down the track, because anger really helps us to create healthy boundaries as well. And we've got those leaky psycho-emotional boundaries, because sometimes we don't even know what they are, or if we know what we are, we don't have the courage to actually put them in place. And so people are crossing them, and then we're feeling resentful. And, that whole thing happens when we have those leaky boundaries. We also get leaky physical boundaries too. And our immune system and our gut are two of our key physical boundaries of our body. And so when we have this dysfunctional relationship with anger and boundaries, that's where we often see, from a psychoneuroimmunology point of view, autoimmune conditions and other immune dysregulation issues come up. And as you may well be aware, those conditions have just been skyrocketing in the recent decades. Yeah. In the last 15 years in particular, autoimmunity has just gone nuts. I'm very passionate about the liver and gallbladder flush for that reason too. It's so much more than just a cleanse. So there's
just ask you here.
Yeah, sorry.
Beautiful girl. This is just powerful, powerful stuff. One thing, if you don't mind me taking you both back to what you said at the very beginning, which was, most people don't know what the other side of, but they know what the other side of normal is, but they think normal is that side. And in my experience, a lot of people, until they've done this kind of work, or a flush or a cleanse, or actually been so sick they've been made to become aware of it, didn't even realize there was another side. Why is it that we're ignoring those symptoms? Or why is it that you feel we're not even aware or conscious of what it feels like to be really healthy? What's happened? Is it a disconnect with our parents and the way that they've been brought up to understand that doctors, with respect, are gods, and medicine is the be-all and end-all? Is it that we've lost function and touch with what actually health feels like? Where have we become so disassociated?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few contributing factors to it. But yes, part of it is dissociation. We're in a culture that, I'm doing broad brushstrokes here, but in general, as a culture, we love to be able to numb out. There's whether it's with food or scrolling or whatever it might be, pick your vice. Alcohol is a big one in this country, that's for sure, but there's a lot of numbing out that goes on. And so we're just, even though the messages of our body are there, we're not able to listen to them because we're so disconnected, we're so dissociated. Part of that comes from, I'm sure, passed on down through families and, you know, what our ancestors have had to go through and the different circumstances we're in now, but we're often living as though we're still in the threatened circumstances of our ancestors. There's also the issue that we have normalized a sick society. You know, there's a great Krishnamurti quote that goes something along the lines of there's nothing healthy being adapted to a completely sick society. And I feel like, you know, that is really the state that we've come to these days. It is so common for children these days to be on medications for chronic conditions as children. You know, normally, yes, acute things that would happen in the past, but these days more and more kids are, and this is where we, you know, kind of mind comes into the picture. So many kids on antidepressants and anti-anxiety meds and have severe allergies and have chronic digestive issues and have neurological conditions at rates that we've never seen before. Even autoimmune conditions in kids, seeing 2-year-olds with rheumatoid arthritis. And it would be something that in the past would be such a rare thing to see. And now it's just everywhere. And we've kind of normalized it. Like we're also normalizing so many other things, like normalizing the need for IVF as well. You know, our fertility, well, no judgment about going through with IVF. I totally understand. What I'm pointing more to is the normalization of how frequently that is required and how we're not, again, looking at the foundations of health that would actually dissolve the need for a lot of these other interventions, or minimize the impact. So, there's cultural, societal, individual trauma aspects as well. And also, you just don't know what you don't know until you know it, right? There's that where we all come in with such a unique human experience that is, yes, there's common themes throughout all of humanity, but our particular experience is so unique. And that's the lens we're stepping into the world with. And until we get the opportunity to look through some other lenses or experience something different, this is why I'm such a big proponent of experiential learning, not intellectual learning. So, like, you know, intellect is obviously important, but we need to experience it to really know it. And when someone gets to experience something different, that is when the real ahas happen and the real shifts happen. So, we finding simple ways, which again is why I love the courses, 99 Gallbladder Flush. We also have a coffee enema course and kids immunity course, and they're all there with the aim that the result is a tangible, physical, felt experience of feeling different.
It makes me sad, Helen, what I'm seeing and what you're seeing. And, you know, you've been at this 2.5 decades. I've been at it 4.5 decades. And to see what I saw when I started in the 80s as opposed to what I'm seeing now. I was discussing with a friend whose 14-year-old daughter has moved in with her father, and she's just been diagnosed with depression and been given Prozac, and her father thinks there's nothing wrong with Coke and chicken nuggets for breakfast. It makes me mad, makes me sad. And I think that when we have organisations like MINDD and My Nutrition Academy and your clinic and Kim and all of her incredible teaching with neurolinguistic programming, we only have these jobs because of what's happened to the community and to society. This should not be happening. And I know you, I know Kim, and I know myself. I want to cry. That's what I want to do, because I don't know when anybody else is going to pick up the ball, such as the government or agriculture or pharmaceutical companies, and they're not doing it. And so we at a grassroots movement, we have to step in.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, I think, and I am very tearful at the moment because this is just happening every day. Somebody tells me about a teenage girl or boy that's on an antidepressant or on 5 layers of drugs because they've been diagnosed with bipolar, or, all of these, and they go neuroatypical, or, all of these things just are happening. And I think, like, what I'd like to talk about now is the movements that are happening. And one of those movements is MIND, which you and I will be speaking at in May this year. And, what was your role with MIND in the beginning? I can't even remember my first MIND experience, but what was your...
Can you both explain what MIND is to the person who doesn't know too? Just so what MINDD stands for. And then, yes, let's hear your experience.
I'll leave that to Helen.
Okay. So the MIND Foundation stands for Metabolic, Immunologic, Neurologic and Digestive Disorders. Quite a mouthful altogether. It's officially its 20-year birthday this year. So there's going to be a fun party at this event as well. But to celebrate that, it actually started a little earlier than that, though. I remember the first meetings with Leslie, it must have been in about 2001, in a school classroom in Sydney. And it was very grassroots. It was a small collection of practitioners and parents coming together to work out what we can do for these kids, because we were already back then seeing alarming increases in rates of ADHD, autism, ASD, OCD, all the alphabet kids, basically, as they were often referred to back then. Lots of acronyms. So what we were seeing is all these children coming through who had a combination of metabolic, immunologic, neurologic, and digestive disorders. They were potentially having regressive autism, sometimes autism from day one, but most commonly regressive autism around 18 months of age or so. We were seeing a lot of allergies, asthma, a lot of ADHD, a lot of gut issues with which often would occur particularly with kids with ASD, where there would be horrific bowel habits, either terrible constipation or slimy green mucousy poos, and like clearly these children in distress. And the mainstream medical model was just saying, okay, they've got this label, they've got this diagnosis, these symptoms are just part of that, so you just have to learn to manage it or live with it, kind of thing.
Or take a drug.
And take a drug for the symptoms we know how to moderate with that drug, and then put up with the other ones, which of course isn't how the body works, right? Everything is connected in the body. And it's particularly easy to see with systems like nervous system, the gut, and the immune system, because we've got most of our immune system is actually in the lining of the gut wall. About 80% of it is there. We have more brain cells. We've got more neurons in our guts than we have in our brain. And we actually have more immune cells in our brain than we have brain cells. So if you just take those 3 little tidbits of fascinating information together, you can see that the relationship between those 3 systems is incredibly intimate and intertwined. The impact of one on the other is direct. It's not through some convoluted loop that's hard to discover. So, yeah, MIND was put together way back when to help parents and practitioners actually find better ways and find ways to get to the root cause of all of this, rather than just Band-Aids for symptoms and, drugs to settle behavior and laxatives for constipation and all of that kind of thing. And what I have seen over the years is incredible. Leslie, who's the founder, has really achieved incredible things. So that's grown over the years to Prior to COVID, an annual conference that was both training practitioners to become MIND certified practitioners, as well as educating the public, both with informative presentations, but also practical. This is food as medicine. This is how you prepare these foods. This is why you want to prepare them. This is the power of them. And this is how you do it. And this is what it tastes like. Here's some samples. So I love it because there's not many situations, not many events that bring both practitioners and families, parents, patients, all under the one roof, and to be able to connect, as well as the services that support the practitioners and the families as well, whether it's, testing services or product services, things like that. So there's an expo there as well. So when you're trying to research who and what is going to be able to help me or my child, everything's under one roof, which is incredible. And us as practitioners, we learn so much from the parents as well, because as anyone who's listening to this knows, if you've got a particular condition or a family member who has a particular condition and you're struggling to get answers for it, you end up going down rabbit holes and doing a lot of research. So it's very much a reciprocal kind of relationship. We're both learning off one another, because when you've got one specific thing going on, you've got a lot more time potentially just to look down that particular route than a practitioner who's looking, across the board, and then can see how, okay, that fits in here and we can work. This is how we, work this web together kind of thing. So yeah, it's a very powerful organization and event. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it because this is the first one since pre-COVID 2019. So there's going to be, a great lot of juju there and excitement of everybody actually getting together in person again.
Yeah. And there'll be speakers coming from overseas as well as the locals, like Pran, Yogi Nathan, gastroenterologists will be there. Of course, you will be there. I'll be there. Sheridan Austin will be there. Who else did I see that's on that list?
Tula Chamberlain is another one of our Aussie ambassadors who will be there for the Food is Medicine Day. Elise Comerford, who's a GAPS nutritionist. We've got Matthew Burke, who's a chiropractor, fantastic chiro in Sydney. Heather Way, who does a lot of work around genomic health. We've got the incredible Dr. Charlie Teo, who's going to be there. Very excited about that. And Christabel Yeo, one of my personal heroes, a good friend and just incredible mentor. She's a queen of mitochondrial health. And Dr. Leah Hechtman, who's a fertility specialist and, an incredible big-hearted human as well. So there are a few of our Australian presenters, and then we've got some incredible doctors coming over from the States. So Dr. Nancy O'Hara, Dr. Liz Mumper, and Dr. James Newen-Schwander. I always have fun saying his surname, even more fun spelling it. But these three clinicians from the States, they're incredible. They have been involved with MIND since the beginning as well. They've been coming out to Australia all these years. They're medical doctors, but they're looking at their treatment approach from a very integrative functional medicine model. So it's just so brilliant to be able to learn off such a vast, diverse group of practitioners. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think those practitioners are growing. I've been reading quite a few books lately, and they're the AHA books from doctors. So Kelly Means, of course, she bought one out. But the other one that I've been reading is Change Your Food, Change Your Mind, I think it is, or Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. It's with Dr. Georgia Eadie, a psychiatrist that, had her own health issues and decided to make all of those changes. So I'm seeing, and another one is Ian Campbell from Edinburgh University with bipolar. So they're using, at last there's metabolic psychiatry, or nutritional psychiatry. I find that it's all starting. And really these kids, have neurological issues. It's not, a lot of it is a neurological issue, but as you say, psychoneuroimmunology, like the whole three together. And on my side, sorry.
Yeah, and that neurology is really impacted by the rest of our physiology, right? So we deal with those underlying physiological issues, and it's incredible how much neurology can improve. Sometimes entirely, sometimes, it's not the same for every child or every adult. It depends what all the contributing factors are, but I've seen many, many reversals of diagnoses occur over the years. Yeah.
It's good
Can
to
I just say that you guys have started so much here. This started Mind Foundation about parents and children, you both said. And I was fortunate enough to attend that one back in 2019. I was blown away by the amount of knowledge. But just even if you look at the Mind Forum and what it's about this year, I just want to share this with the listener if you've never heard of it. But it says now over 50% of children and adults are affected by different things. 4 in 10 have allergies. 1 in 10 have ADHD. 1 in 10 have asthma. 1 in 63 have autism. And 1 in 8 have a mental health condition. I mean, these statistics aren't going down, Helen. These are rising. And I don't know, the thought of being a parent in today's world or bringing a child into the world today, even though doctors are becoming more and more aware of these things, we still see Coca-Cola and things like Pepsi advertised on television. We still see over-the-counter medications as the be-all and end-all for fixing some of these conditions. We still see children's lunchboxes, adult lunchboxes going to school with so much packaged foods, colours, additives. I don't know. I know you're both excited about the rise in awareness, but I'm actually a bit more dismayed about the rise in the numbers. Even though we feel like our little bubble is growing, this little bubble is very small. How the hell are we going to cut through into the general? And I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to put people down, but the general knowledge doesn't seem to be growing as fast as our little bubble or what we'd like to think.
Well, unfortunately, part of the reason why the awareness is growing is because the problem is growing as well, right? And so there are more people who are coming up against brick walls in terms of making any progress. It's hard when you're not, or harder when you're not personally affected by it to connect with the significance of it. Because, until you don't have your health, you don't realize how valuable your health actually is, right? Which is why it's often when people are faced with the challenges that the waking up or the awareness starts to occur. I also think, as Cyndi said before, the way it's going to happen and the way it is happening is through grassroots movements like Mind. Because if we're waiting for institutions to change, we're going to be waiting a long time. I mean, even to this day, there's many doctors who I have heard say, by the time you graduate uni, 50% of what you've learned in medical school is no longer applicable. It's incorrect. It takes a long time for course curriculum to change. There's so much bureaucracy and paperwork and vested interests and, who's funding the unis and the schools. There's a whole host of reasons that things are very slow to change from top down. So real change is really only ever going to be ground up and community-based. And again, that's why these organizations and events are so important, because in the end, how industry responds is going to be dependent on where the consumer is spending the money and the time. Yeah. So that's where the power is in our hands. So the more we can do that, the more we can gather and connect as community, the better, really.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more. Like we said from the very beginning, it is the grassroots movement, because everything else is like a fast-moving train and it's going to be hard to turn it around. But I think it's happening, and I can see it in the US at the moment with the new head of the HHS or HIS or whatever, which one of those numerals, one of those ones it is. But I just see that he's now questioning, things. And so I'm hoping that will have a knock-on effect to Australia. One of the things MIND is bringing this year is a farming section, or a regenerative farming section. And I'm going to be the MC there, which I'm really looking forward to. Because I became a farmer 10 years ago, and I have learnt so much. And we've got Charlie Arnott coming, who's got the Regenerative Journey in podcast. We've also got Blair Beattie, who's part of Zach Bush's Farmer's Footprint. So we've got some incredible, and I don't know if she's coming or not, but Rachel's Farm, we might be watching that movie. Yeah, I think fingers are crossed for that one. So I just feel that this is the all-encompassing thing we need to look at. It's not only what we have to do for these kids, we have to also look at where is that food coming from and what nutrient-rich soil that it is coming from. So that's really exciting. But you are speaking to two different types of people. You're speaking to the lay people as well as all of the doctors and naturopaths and nutritionists and specialists. You'll be speaking to both. Can you give us an idea of what you'll be speaking? I'm speaking on regenerative living. Easy. I'm not, it's easy for me to speak on, but you're speaking to a bunch of practitioners. So what are you going to be talking on with them?
Yeah, so I'm giving a few talks. I'll be doing a talk on the Food is Medicine Day about food is medicine and all the different healing diets and, what the benefits of the different ones are and who they may be appropriate for. So there'll be that. Then I'm giving another talk to the general public as well about what I was referring to before in terms of the language of the body or the language of the nervous system. So looking at a primal and somatic approach to healing, helping to interpret what the signs and messages are from the body, because again, particularly if we've got family members with special needs situations, there's usually a lot of stress in that household. And that then can just create layer upon layer on the condition, or it can create, challenges and road humps in healing as well. So there's some really simple things that we can learn to do both on our own and also with others in terms of co-regulating and particular games with kids, because kids learn really well through play, to help with responding to the cues of the nervous system. And then for the practitioners, we'll be going in a bit more detail. So again, it is the language of the nervous system that I'll be talking about and that primal and somatic approach, but we're going to be bringing that into the cell danger response, which is a mitochondrial pathway function, and the healing cycle. So cell danger response and healing cycle are really a mitochondrial approach to health. So we're looking at how that survival mechanism impacts mitochondria, essentially. Yeah.
What's the cell danger response?
The cell danger response is a cycle that is required for the healing process, but we will often get stumped at a particular point in the cycle, and then we end up in chronic illness, basically. We can't get out of that into the body's repair mechanisms. So it's how we get out of what should be acute inflammation and into repair. Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed that the topic might be is on long COVID. Does it exist, or was it an injury of some sort? Or, what I'd like to know, what are they going to be talking about with long COVID? Because it seems to be dramatic. It seems to be, you hear it all the time. Everybody says, "Oh, I have long COVID," but yeah.
Well, so Dr. Liz Mumper is going to be speaking on long COVID, specifically with children, but I'm sure she will cover adults as well. There's obviously mixed views and approaches to COVID itself. And then when we're looking at long COVID, yes, there is the big question, is it the reaction or the response to the potential virus, or is it the reaction and response to the jabs that have been getting handed out? Either way, we know that, the spike proteins and other mechanisms within it are creating some havoc in multiple different systems: cardiovascular, neurological, nervous system. So, a lot of people are experiencing autonomic nervous system issues like POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, so that unable to regulate heart rates. I know people have been severely bedbound because literally can't stand up. It's like, when you stand up and get like dizzy and can't see, that on steroids, like to a debilitating level, is one of the symptoms of POTS. A lot of neurological conditions or symptoms that people are getting, whether it's numbness, tingling, twitches, tremors, brain fog, that kind of thing. And of course, there's been cardiovascular issues well documented as well. So I'll be looking at the mechanisms through which these systems are being affected, and then what are some solutions to help with detoxification, with calming the cytokine storm and the cascade of inflammation that occurs from that. So, yeah, it's going to be a very fascinating talk, no doubt.
Yeah, it will be. I'm really looking forward to it. So there's a practitioner section, and then there's a layperson section. Do you know the dates of when the practitioners are? Because I've only got I believe just what's happening in May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I think it is which I think is the Friday.
Third. So, yeah, the practitioner stream is 3 days, the 1st, 3rd of May. And then the public stream is 2 days, Friday the 2nd and Saturday the 3rd of May.
Right.
Yeah. So can I just go back with you both on this one? You've talked a lot about this grassroots movement and also looking at the root cause of a lot of the issues that will be discussed at this beautiful forum. I know for a lot of people listening to this, it could be quite scary hearing all of these conditions, hearing all of the problems, knowing that numbers are increasing. It's if you're not a practitioner or if you're not knowledgeable with respect to understanding all of these different modalities and I guess symptoms and then of course cures, if you don't know a lot about it, we do know that if we can bring it back to what you both talk a lot about, ancestral, anthropological, understanding what our forefathers and mothers did. In a way, what I'm hearing, you guys are really wanting to link us back to the power of Mother Nature, Father Sky, understanding nature, culture, and tradition. Would you mind just giving us a little bit of hope, telling us perhaps where you're wanting us to go in order for the everyday person, the mum, the dad that cares about their little poppets and wants them to grow up in a world of wellness and health and having health span, not lifespan? How would you guide us if we couldn't get to the Mind Forum or if we don't know where to go, but we genuinely want to make a better imprint? What would you tell us to do, beautiful Helen?
So, well, there's so many options. First of all, if you can't make it to the Mind Forum in person, they are also live streaming it. So it is based in Sydney, in Darling Harbour. If you're keen but can't travel, live stream is an excellent option. As you just spoke to, Kim, we really want to get down to basics. As a species, and particularly, well, probably in any realm, but, I'm in the health realm, we like to complicate things. Things can be really complicated and they can also be super simple. So I think for me, a lot of the hope and where the rubber hits the road is where things are most simple. So getting the foundations right, getting to know, if you can, know your farmer. If you can't know your farmer, get as close to them as you can. Like maybe it's farmers markets, or maybe you're going to smaller grocers rather than the bigger chain stores. Those kinds of things make a big deal in terms of the freshness and the vitality of your food and how many potential chemicals may be in amongst them, right? And our food is our building blocks for everything in our body, our cells, our neurotransmitters, our hormones, everything that goes on in our body requires those nutrients. So we want to get the best quality and vitality in that we can. So that is a great place to start. You can look for communities either around you or online to join as well, so that you've got a bit of moral support and emotional support as you're making changes. Another huge one that just makes a mammoth difference. Remember, the things that are going to help the most are the things that are going to help us feel different. Once we feel different, we're like, oh, that's cool. What else can I do? It becomes more of a fun journey rather than, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do this. And, so aside, the next thing from food that I find makes a mammoth difference is clearing out the chemicals at home. Now, you can go about that either through a big sweep and do an audit of anything that has fragrance or parfum that's on the label that doesn't specify it is fragranced with essential oils, or you can do it gradually and switch for safer. So as the product runs out, switch it for a safe alternative. And there's so many products available now these days, so many more brands are popping up, providing all sorts of things. And, we've got your beautiful products, Kim, for skincare and fragrance. There's companies that do household cleaning products. There's no reason to have toxic chemicals in your home, basically. The irony is we use these toxins to clean things, but it's not really cleaning them. It's making them more toxic, right? So that can make a huge difference for headaches, brain fog, energy levels, sleep quality, concentration and focus, immune function, because all of these things are neuroendocrine disruptors and immune dysregulators, right? So just getting that load off your system makes a big difference. So food and chemicals in the home, I'd say, are the two easiest places to start. And then, join the next 99 and gallbladder flush, or, jump into one of your guys' programs as well. You've both got beautiful offerings through self-care weekends and your nutrition academy. And there's just so much beautiful, uplifting spirit in all of these communities. And that's what I love. It doesn't need to be this burdensome journey. It can be fun. And the great thing is you feel better and better and better and better as the days and years go by. So then you get to enjoy life even more. So that's what I love about it. You just get more enjoyment from life.
I have a young woman who graduated from my Mindset Master, or my Essential Mastery program, and it was all around mindset. She's a young woman. Last year, only 6 months ago, and this is the point I want to make, is it doesn't have to take a long time. 6 months ago, she was hanging out with, I don't want to say toxic people, just people who weren't serving her as a beautiful soul. She was inflamed. She was depressed. She didn't want to be out. She had nervous disorders around people or being in the public. Just by doing a simple program and having the support of the community of people and being introduced to women like you two, which I advocate so strongly that they follow. Well, last night we watched the 90-day check-in. This woman has completely transformed her life. She has gone from wanting to be a nurse and helping, I guess she wanted to do that to help the sick and the unwell, but now she's gone right into fitness, wellness, and nutrition. She's realized by changing those fundamental things for herself, she has not only, we kept looking at her on screen last night going, who is she? Her confidence levels, her body shape, her inflammation markers have all completely dropped. Her nursing desire made her want to go and get bloods. But now, even in 90 days, what she's seen her bloods do has made her realize the power of what supplements, what foods are working for her. But the biggest thing of all that I noticed was her mindset, her belief in herself. Now, that wasn't apparent 6 months ago. And I just want to say both of you are people she follows, and she has made comment on what it's meant to her to actually be educated a little bit, enough to know the little shifts and changes, getting the toxins out of her home and her environment, the perfumes, the deodorants she was wearing. But she even turned herself off camera last night because she said, I'm just cooking a really healthy meal, which she wasn't doing 6 months ago. And I just want to congratulate you both for what you offer in a simplistic way. So you don't have to do the full-on nutrition academy, don't have to do the liver cleansing thing. But if you start with the 9v9, you start with Cyndi's introduction to nutrition, just the fundamentals. It's step by step, day by day, moment by moment. We're not asking you to make life-changing things. If you can attend the Mind Forum and just get glimpses from these experts, and not all of them are doctors, not all of them are major, highly academic souls. These people that I've noticed, the ambassadors for Mind, include people like Joe Whitten, Alex Stewart. So I really want to say here, thanks to you, change agents, from a big level, but also a very minute level, we can come in at any point. Is there anything either of you would add to that, to the person who's sitting on the fence, just searching, looking, listening, noticing that they want to make changes? What is that little bridge? Is it the Mind Forum? What else is there?
Could be many things. If there's that curiosity and a bit of a pull there, my invitation would be to just follow that next step. You don't need to know 10 steps down. You don't need to know the big picture. But if there's something that you're like, oh, that sounds good, or that I'm curious about that, just take the next step, because one little divergence from the path now is a big difference later down the track. So it doesn't need to be a big change. Little changes are amazing.
The symbols, the signs, asking the question. Cyndi, you and I are very big on manifestation, but looking for signs and symbols. She kept saying, you girls keep coming up in her feed, that apparently that, you know, the work that I was doing, it was like, should I do this? And the next fit post was a thing about my program. So it's like even trusting in that greater guidance and that beautiful ability to even ask the question, give me a sign. Cyndi, what would you say around that? Because you're massive on manifesting and looking for those signals and signs. How do we know what's the right one?
Yeah, I think it's about being open, Kim, to the signs that are coming. And I had one just recently, but I can't remember it now. But they come up all the time. It's like I'm doing this, I'm walking along, and then I'm not sure. Oh, I know. I remember what it was. So I'm taking the Nutrition Academy worldwide, and I'm thinking of strategic alliances that I can do worldwide. And I've come up with some amazing ones, one's in the Maldives, another one's in England, another one's in Dubai. And I picked up a pen. I don't know where it came from. I have no idea. And it said Palmer College of Chiropractic online further education programs. And I went, and the phone number was there. And so I went, oh, maybe I'm meant to be doing chiropractic colleges, but for postgraduate works in nutrition. And, you know, so that to me is a sign. Where'd that pen come from? How did it get there? Yes, my dad went to Palmer College and so did my sister, but I have not. My mum and my sister's been gone 20 years and my dad's been gone 4 years. Why did that just pop up? So, yeah, that to me is being open to what does it say, you know, what is it that it's actually saying? Like I'm looking at this pen and I don't know where this came from, but this is from New Zealand and it's What a Matter Cardiology.
Uh-oh. Look out, New Zealand. She's coming at you.
I'm coming for you.
Mine says Sharpie. I think I need to just get more sharp, or gel. Oh, I could do a lot of things with gel. A lot of beautiful things with natural gels. I'm telling you. Oh, that's got the same one. Well, beautiful, Helen. You and I are going to get down and dirty.
It's about being open to those little signs. Like they're always coming. Like, you know, Pran will be speaking also. And Pran came into our lives in a small way, and now he's there in a big way. And we just, we've interviewed Pran, and hopefully we'll get that out before Mind comes. If not, you'll have to go to Mind to listen to him. But, we said to him, hey, we want to interview you. And he said, I'm not doing it on video. I'm doing it live. And he and his beautiful wife and 3 children came to the farm, and we had the most amazing time speaking with him. So I don't know, that you just say yes to these beautiful signs,
And like you said, Cyndi, as well, sometimes the signs are there all the time, but it's when we notice them is significant. Like that pen could have been on your desk for weeks, but the fact that you're asking for a sign, and that's when you notice what was written on it, whereas before you've looked at it and not noticed what's on it, right? Like we've got signs around us all the time, and we'll notice them when it's the right time. So when you notice them, you take note. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And the funny thing was, I went straight to the website and looked at their online program for nutrition for postgraduate, and they had a 1-hour lecture. I'm going, they need.
Helen, one of the other things that you do, you spoke at Cyndi's Nutrition Summit. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but you did it's so simple. You talked, and it's had such an impact on me because I didn't realize how natural it came to me to do this until you pointed it out. Not only do you talk about the oils so beautifully, and I'm so honored that you do that, because they are the magical link of all. When we understand the power of smell and what it can do to us and how it can help set our neurological system, our mindset, and anchor in our beliefs and our desires, it is truly profound. And these are gifts from nature. But one of the other things you talked about in there was the stress, and you alluded to it at the beginning, of us carrying the stress or living in survival or fight and flight mode without us even realizing half the time. But one of the things you talked about was when an antelope's being chased by a lion, and it's in fight or flight, it's in survival, but then it's safe. And I've watched this ever since. My cat had a fight with a cat the other day, and she just shook it all off. There was this amazing, the shake thing. Yeah. Could you just explain to us that beautiful phenomena of shaking off, using our somatic energy, and actually looking at how something as simple as that can support us to live a healthier life?
Yeah, so this is something that is common for all mammals. If we were in the wild, it's you can watch some wildlife videos, or if you've got a pet that's not too domesticated, you can watch it in your pet as well. Sometimes pets have suppressed it too, though. But what you will see is when an animal is under threat, once the threat is over, it needs to discharge that energy, because what a threat does is it charges up our nervous system. It activates that survival mechanism, puts us in fight or flight mode, ready to run or fight. And there's got to be somewhere for that energy to go. Now, when we're looking at animals in the wild, the threat's gone, they'll just shake it all off, and then they're back to chomping grass, and they're all really chill and happy. And that's the end of that story. But we as humans, we're like, there's a fright, and then, or we trip on a step. It can be something as simple as tripping on a step. And you're like, oh my God, I hope nobody saw that. Quick, carry on, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. I'm fine. But we're then carrying around that charge in our nervous system. And instead, what we could have done is like, oh, you had a trip, whoop, okay, shake it off, okay, and now walk off. So you will notice if you practice that, it's something so simple, but you feel totally different between like tripping on a curve and carrying on hoping nobody saw it, and tripping, pausing for a moment, having a little shake, and then carry on. You will feel a lot calmer, more in your body, more present, more able to connect with others and with yourself. Because when we're in that survival mode, we're like the wide-eyed deer in the headlights, right? And then we're more likely to be reactive. If someone bumps into us, what do you do that for? We're more likely to be defensive. And we can just keep piling on activation after activation after activation. And we're all walking around this whole bundle of, survival nerves ready to burst. And then something little will happen and will explode. And we're like, why did we get so bothered about that? It wasn't even such a big deal, It's because it's been building in your system. So by doing a simple practice like a shake when something like that happens, or even if nothing's happened, but you're feeling a bit either tense or flat, you can, at the end of a day, put a 3-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute track on and just shake your body. No rhythm is required. In fact, lack of rhythm is helpful. We want to bust out of rhythm when we're shaking, and you just see what parts of your body you didn't think you could shake that you can shake. Can you shake your elbow, your little finger, your ankle, your hip? And you do that. It's a great way of releasing that tension and that survival activation from your nervous system.
I guess this is where you really dive deeper into and why all three of us are so passionate and excited to understand sometimes the neurological or psychological or metaphysical reasons and behind an illness. And a lot of the time we are carrying emotional traumas or neurological memories from even when we were children, or if you want to go down a real rabbit hole, past lives or even intergenerational. So there is so much around our neurology and understanding our psycho ability to connect into and release traumas of time gone by, which then frees us up. And I think you'll love, and when you're talking about Ayurvedic or even TCM or any of these beautiful ancient modalities, just how profound they are in with their food, movement, spirit, and soul kind of teachings. I know we all three of us could talk forever, but if you were to really, and I know Cyndi may have another question, but if you were really to sum up what your work has gone from being and I say this with love, but learning and being interested in naturopathy, now talking about somatic releasing. I mean, there's big journeys that you've gone on. How are you looking at all now as a very big, broad, holistic, integrative model, not just naturopathy, nutrition, or herbal medicine? You're kind of bringing it all together.
And shaking off.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess what I'm really looking for and supporting is cohesion. So cohesion and expression. So cohesion in the individual and cohesion in the community, cohesion with nature. Like that's what it all really comes down to for me. And the more that we come into cohesion, the more we're actually expressing our true selves. And that's exactly what the world wants and needs. The world is not needing masks and players and actors. It's needing each and every one of us and the unique gifts that we all have to contribute and the joy we all have to experience from that as well. So, and that for me, that's where vital health comes from.
Well, and the nitric oxide release and things like that, which happens a lot when one gets married. Just looking at your beautiful glow and who you are today, Cyndi and I are just so proud of the woman you are constantly becoming and evolving into. And I think this is what all three of us would allude to as wisdom. And as we age, it's such a gift. But you've also recently, in the last 12 months, got married. Just be interested to know how that has also played out in your approach to health and well-being.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so yes, it's been a very beautiful few years, couple of years in particular. And yeah, feeling it was definitely worth the wait. I've always loved relationships, but one thing I'm grateful for is not settling and listening to myself, basically, so that I'm not in a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship, but I'm with someone with whom I feel home, and I'll touch on that again soon, but also with whom I can grow with. Yeah. Because there's a lot of growing we can do on our own, but only so much. Humans are wired for connection, and we do need others, and whether it is a key relationship or a circle of women or men, whatever it might be, we need others to really support our growth in life. And that is a key value of mine. So I'm going on a tangent. You have to repeat the question. How has it impacted my health or my view of health? For me, it's been incredible. There's been a big coming home and return to safety. And it was only a few years ago, not long before I met my husband, that I actually experienced what safety is in my nervous system for the first time in my conscious life. And that was mind-blowing and groundbreaking to me, because I didn't realize that I wasn't feeling safe. And I had a few mentors over the last couple of decades say to me, Paul Check included, like, safety is a big thing for you. And I'm like, well, I get it from a base chakra point of view. You know, we all need to have our home and our roof and our food and, you know, shelter, those kinds of things. But I'm a strong, capable woman. You know, I feel like I know I can deal with things in the world. I'm safe. But what I hadn't realized was this survival pattern pinging in the background that was a complete lack of safety, absolute lack of safety. So it explained to me why over the years, for one example, you know, I would get overwhelmed when there's a lot happening, but so then I would go and do rest, and I would be doing all the right things that constituted rest, but I wasn't necessarily really feeling rested. Or I would have, I'd be sharing space with people who I love and trust, and yet there was always part of me going, well, am I in the way? Is this going to bother them? Is that going to be an issue? Or should I'll creep around like a ninja so that nobody hears me? And all of that kind of stuff was just like absolutely constant. And that's exhausting when your nervous system is using up all that energy for that hypervigilance all the time, which I hadn't even clocked was there, because again, it was so normal for me. Yeah. And even after doing work and shedding layers of that, this core piece was still there. And so, I had an experience through some deep work that I was doing of safety for the first time. And that really opened up the space for me to meet my beloved then, because I'm then relating from a totally different place. So that was key. And then that safety has continued to grow as well. Like, there's just so many layers of relaxation that have been happening in my nervous system as a result of coming into a relationship in the healthiest possible way that I could, but then also being held in it and being able to express myself in all of my flavors and colors and not feel like I'm going to be abandoned or left or berated or whatever it is, for me to be held in whatever it is I'm feeling and expressing at the time. And that's just been a huge to my system, you know, and has allowed me to soften so much more and to not need to be in control so much, and or there's so many yummy layers to it. So yes, does that answer your question?
Look at her. She's a pig in mud. So let's finish up, because we are going to get you back, because this was mainly about, you know, the grassroots movement of mind and really getting people to understand there's help and there's a community out there. And it's not just, it's a grassroots movement, but it's a community not only the three of us have, but it's other people are doing this as well. So if people want to book in, the website is
MINDD.org, and there's a tab on there that says events, and all the details are under that tab.
Well, Helen, we can hardly wait to see you live, because we would like to do a live podcast with you next time and get more in depth with what you're doing and your spiritual growth. Like, we didn't even touch on that, and I want to hear so much about that, and I know Kim will too.
Yeah, well,
yes.
Be a lot of fun.
Don't know if we'll get much podcasting done, but we will allow our beautiful listeners to be a fly on the wall to everything we do over that day, weekend or week. But yes, we both feel very privileged and honoured to have you on the show. And just want to thank you. I actually personally want to thank you both for what you offer to our beautiful parents and adults out there who are struggling or looking for answers, wanting to live a better life and don't know where to turn. So it's thanks to you, beautiful souls, and Leslie for creating a foundation such as the Mind Foundation. And I think it's because of your love and passion and desire to support others that allows the freedom and availability for all of us to look for, follow, and certainly encompass all that you both offer and teach. And you are two women who just truly do trailblaze the world in the health arena. And I just want to say thank you for allowing us to be in the arena with you, but also for giving us such simplistic guidance and ability to believe that we have the power, even if we don't have a medical degree or a science background or feel like we should know more. You make it so simple that every one of us can trust our innate human intelligence to follow your guidance. And so on behalf of humanity, I want to thank you both for all that you offer and gift. And I want to shout out to our beautiful Leslie for what she has really created in the Mind Foundation. Cannot wait to see you both on stage, flying the flag for all of us who truly believe in what you offer. And thank you, Helen, for being on the Up for a Chat podcast with us here today.
Thanks so much for having me.
And I just have one more thing to say, right back at your girlfriend.
Exactly. The whole time I'm like, yeah, right back at you, right back at you.
They say we're all mirrors, right?
We are.
But maybe finally too, Helen, just in case someone has been living under a rock, could you just tell us your socials, your website, and of course where we can follow you personally?
So helenpadarin.com and on Facebook and Instagram at Helen Padarin. And then for the clinic, it's wellembodied.com.au and well.embodied.hub on socials.
Amazing. We love you, girlfriend.
Love you right back.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/The Wellness Couch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.